The pinnacle of world motorsport is on the verge of an unprecedented historic transformation. Mohammed bin Sulayem, head of the FIA, has just made an explosive statement that promises to completely revolutionize the sport. The return of V8 engines starting in 2029. Is the era of complex hybrid engines coming to an end? And even more importantly, has F1 finally found the key to solving its most pressing economic difficulties? Let's first take a look at the current situation. The engines in this category are true marvels of engineering. Each one costs between 1.8 million and 2.1 million, while development can reach 200 million per manufacturer. To gauge their sophistication, these power units integrate combustion propulsion, hybrid technology, kinetic energy capture, thermal energy utilization, and countless electronic elements that make each part more valuable than a high-end home. Bin Sulayem demonstrates his seriousness when he states that these engines are overly complex. The truth is that only 4 automakers worldwide are capable of manufacturing these power units: Mercedes, Ferrari, Renault, and Honda. Even so, the investment in development is scaring away potential new suppliers. Imagine yourself as a new automaker needing to invest 200 million just to enter this competition. That is enough capital to build a complete conventional car manufacturing facility. The FIA executive is not alone in this thinking. Internally, several teams have already expressed concern about the astronomical costs of the current engines. Christian Horner, representing Red Bull, has already stated openly that the engines are too sophisticated for the return they offer. Toto Wolff of Mercedes, despite representing a brand that dominates hybrid technology, acknowledges that the costs are becoming impractical. And the situation extends beyond that. Even the automakers themselves question whether it is worth maintaining such high investments in a technology that does not directly translate into vehicle sales to the end consumer. Bin Sulayem's suggestion is drastic, but it has commercial logic. Naturally aspirated V8 engines, or those equipped with a much more basic hybrid system, cost about half as much as the current ones. This means that a V8 power unit would cost less than $1 million, with development costs not exceeding 100 million. For smaller teams, this would mean a revolution. For automakers, it would be a chance to reduce costs while maintaining technological relevance. Imagine Williams, Haas, or even Alpine gaining access to competitive engines without extreme financial sacrifices. However, the first obstacle arises: ecological pressure. The category has publicly committed to achieving carbon neutrality by 2030. How can it be justified worldwide that the sport is returning to less efficient engines? Bin Sulayem has an answer: sustainable fuels. The proposal is that V8 engines using 100% sustainable fuels could be more environmentally friendly than current hybrids, especially considering the entire production chain for batteries and electronic components. And let's be realistic, the carbon footprint of producing an F1 battery is enormous. The timing of this proposal is no coincidence. In 2026, the category will implement new engine regulations that are already causing widespread concern. Honda is officially returning, Audi is joining as a manufacturer for the first time, and the development costs of these new units are alarming even the most experienced manufacturers. If the transition to V8 occurs in 2029, it would only be 3 years later. That is enough time to assess whether the 2026 engines have really solved the category's problems or created even more complications. Now comes the most fascinating part. Bin Sulayem is not talking exclusively about engines. He has also made it clear that he is looking to China for a possible 12th team in the category, and that makes perfect strategic sense. China represents the world's largest automotive market, has significant investment in electric and sustainable vehicle technology, and the category desperately needs to expand its presence in Asia. The Chinese Grand Prix has already demonstrated that there is massive interest in the sport among the Chinese public. A Chinese team in the category would be a watershed moment for the sport. It would bring in fresh capital, new technologies, and, most importantly, open the doors to a market of over 1 billion people. But Ben Sulayem was clear. It won't be just any team. It needs to add real value, it needs to be financially sustainable, and it needs to go through the same rigorous processes as any other candidate. The experience with Andretti has shown that money and desire are not enough. The question is, will the current teams accept sharing the pie? Each new team means less prize money for the existing ones. And let's not forget that the last attempt to expand the grid with the entry of the American team already caused significant resistance. Now imagine a Chinese team with even greater investment potential. Traditional teams may see this as a direct threat to their financial status quo. But perhaps the most crucial point is this. Ben Sulayem is playing a risky card. He is betting that he can convince current manufacturers to accept a radical change that could render obsolete all the billion-dollar investments they have made in current hybrid technology. Mercedes, Ferrari, Renault, and Honda are not going to take this lying down. They will want guarantees, compensation, or at the very least, a transition plan that protects their investments. Mercedes, for example, has invested more than $500 million in developing its current engine. And here's the bigger problem. Formula One cannot afford to lose any manufacturers. If the change is too abrupt, some of them may simply decide that it is no longer worth it and leave the category. Imagine Mercedes leaving F1 because it doesn't agree with the return to V8s. It would be a disaster for the category's credibility. The departure of any major manufacturer would create a domino effect that could compromise the entire competitive structure of F1. On the other hand, if the change is well executed, it could be exactly what F1 needs. Cheaper engines mean more interested manufacturers. More manufacturers mean more competition and innovation. More competition means a better show for the fans. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. Keeping F1 at the pinnacle of world motorsport, but without breaking everyone in the process. The category needs to find the perfect balance between technological innovation and financial sustainability. The reality is that Ben Sulayem is playing a multi-dimensional game of chess. He needs to balance environmental sustainability, financial viability, manufacturer interest, team satisfaction, and fan expectations, all while maintaining F1 as the most advanced technological laboratory in the world of motorsport. It's a challenge that could define the future of the category for the next 20 years. What do you think of this proposal? Is a return to V8s really the solution to F1's financial problems? Or are we risking losing the technological essence that makes the category unique? More importantly, do you believe that a Chinese team could really change the balance of power in F1? Tell me in the comments what you think about these revolutionary changes that may be coming. And if you want to know more about the behind the scenes of these billion-dollar negotiations that are happening right now in F1, click on the video appearing on your screen, because there I'll tell you how these decisions could directly impact the future of your favorite drivers.